Chapter 3777. Lu Ming's fist landed on Zhi Yangzhou's chest. However, Zhi Yangzhou's entire body was covered in a purple glow. This glow wasn't just for decoration. It also had a powerful protective effect. Sizzle. Lu Ming's fist rubbed against the purple glow violently. It was extremely ear-piercing. However, in the end, Lu Ming broke through the purple glow and his fist landed accurately on Zhi Yangzhou's chest. Bam! A bloody hole appeared on Zhi Yangzhou's chest. Fresh blood flowed out. However, his defense was really amazing. Lu Ming's punch only injured his muscles and bones. It didn't reach his heart. Both of them retreated at the same time. Amazing. Exchanging injuries for injuries. You're the first person to injure me in this resource alliance. To show my respect, I'll use my full strength. Zhi Yangzhou spoke. His eyes flickered with purple light and his fighting spirit burned. Previously, he wasn't injured in the battle with Feng Peng. That was because Feng Peng didn't dare to exchange injuries for injuries. However, Lu Ming didn't mind. Now that he had this masochistic physique, he would probably have many chances to be beaten up in the future. He was already used to it. After all, it could increase his cultivation. He even comforted himself by thinking that others couldn't even get such an opportunity. If they could get it, they would probably cry and beg to be abused. With that thought, Lu Ming felt much better. Come on, where's your Eastern Purple Chi? Don't hide it. Lu Ming said loudly. He was looking forward to it. Eastern Purple Chi. Zhi Yangzhou let out a long roar. He took a few strange steps and reached out to grab the void. Suddenly, a purple gas flew over from the endless void. It was unknown where it came from. It was extremely mysterious. The purple gas was grabbed by Zhi Yangzhou and turned into a long sword. Swoosh. Zhi Yangzhou waved the long sword and a purple sword chi slashed towards Lu Ming. Lu Ming's eyes were solemn. At the same time, he crazily activated the various secret techniques in his cells. Under the mediation of the taboo power, these secret techniques all condensed and turned into two balls of light. These two balls of light were formed from various defensive and offensive secret techniques. They could only be formed under the influence of forbidden power. Boom! Lu Ming punched out and collided with the purple sword chi. In that instant, Lu Ming clearly heard crackling sounds coming from the ball of light in his hand. That was the sound of many secret techniques exploding. Lu Ming felt an incomparably powerful and sharp force bombarding his fist. His body shook violently, and he couldn't help but retreat. At the same time, a burning pain came from his fist. Lu Ming took a look and discovered that a deep wound had appeared on his fist. It went straight to the bone, and blood was flowing out. With his powerful recovery ability, his wounds quickly healed. However, Lu Ming was still secretly shocked. Xiang Province, what a strong attack power. He had already condensed all kinds of defensive and offensive secret techniques in the ball of light, but it was still broken and injured. Not bad, again. Xiang Province was also surprised to see Lu Ming block his sword. He let out a long roar, and the long sword formed by the purple chi in his hand changed again. It turned into two balls of purple chi that wrapped around his fists. His figure flashed, and he quickly pounced at Lu Ming, punching out continuously with both fists. It was the purple sun godly fist again, and purple suns were formed. However, this time, the purple sun godly fist was strengthened by the Eastern Purple Chi art, and its power was greatly increased. Boom! A purple sun pressed down on Lu Ming. Lu Ming tried his best to resist, but the purple sun was too powerful. Lu Ming was directly sent flying. The rays of the purple sun were like steel needles that pierced Lu Ming's body. Furthermore, they were extremely hot steel needles. Fine droplets of blood appeared on Lu Ming's body, and they immediately evaporated. Waves of piercing pain spread throughout his body. Before he could react, the attacks of the purple sun continent came again. A few consecutive purple suns pressed down on Lu Ming. The purple sun shone brightly, and Lu Ming looked extremely small under the purple sun. Lu Ming let out a long roar, and he was fearless as he tried his best to resist. However, Xiang Province had used the Eastern Purple Chi art to raise his fighting strength to the peak, and he had completely surpassed Lu Ming. Even if Lu Ming tried his best, it was difficult for him to resist. He kept retreating, and his body was dyed red with blood. Lu Ming's vitality was extremely strong, and his defense and recovery were astonishing. If it was someone else, they would have already lost. Mu Yun is going to lose. He is finally unable to defy the heavens. He is no match for Xiang Province. After all, the difference in their fighting strength is too great. Xiang Province has raised his fighting strength to the peak, and he can already kill an ordinary first-layer Divine Emperor. Mu Yun is only a fifth-layer Divine Emperor after all. Many people discussed, and some sighed. Lu Ming's combat prowess made them gasp in amazement and respect. Therefore, some people felt that it was a pity. If Lu Ming's cultivation was stronger, he might really be able to defeat Xiang Province. However, it was not enough now. Of course, this was a good thing for Han Feng, Qi Ping, and the others. They clenched their fists nervously, and their eyes were fixed on the fighting ring. They kept praying that Xiang Province could kill Lu Ming. At the very least, they had to cripple Lu Ming. Because Lu Ming's fighting strength had already made them panic. Unfortunately, what they wanted to see did not appear. Lu Ming's tenacity was freakishly strong. He was clearly at a disadvantage, and he was completely suppressed. His body was dyed red with blood, and his injuries were getting worse, but he persevered. Do you still want to fight? If you continue, you may suffer irreversible injuries, and it will be detrimental to your future cultivation. Xiang Province spoke. He was not a narrow-minded person. Although he envied Lu Ming's fighting strength, he was not jealous. He also did not wish to see a heaven's pride like Lu Ming being crippled in his hands. That would be too much of a pity. Is that all you've got? It's not even enough to defeat me, and you still want to seriously injure me? Still lacking a little, ha ha ha. Lu Ming laughed loudly, deliberately provoking Xiang Province. Humph. Xiang Province snorted coldly, urging Eastern Purple Chi Art and Purple Sun Divine Fist to the limits. 9 suns condensed out all at once, crushing toward Lu Ming. Come on, come on. Lu Ming's eyes burst forth with a resplendent and anticipatory brilliance. Soon, he was about to break through. After the great battle earlier, the potential in his body was continuously stimulated. He felt that he was not far from breaking through to 6th level Divine Lord. Just a little bit more, and he would be able to break through. Facing Xiang Province's violent attack, he revealed a crazed look. Not only did he not dodge, he took the initiative to charge toward the 9 suns instead. What is he doing? Courting death. Many people stood up from their seats in shock. While Han Feng and Qi Ping were wild with joy, Lu Ming was already very seriously injured to begin with. At this moment, facing Xiang Province's all-out attack, he actually did not dodge and even took the initiative to charge up. He might very well die under this attack. Chapter 3778. Under everyone's shocked, bewildered, expectant, worried, and ecstatic gazes, Lu Ming collided with the 9 purple suns. Boom! Boom! A series of explosions sounded, and the sky was filled with purple light, completely drowning Lu Ming. How is it? Everyone's eyes were fixed on the fighting ring, trying to see through the purple light to see Lu Ming's situation. Swoosh! In the next moment, a figure flew out of the purple light and crashed heavily on the fighting ring. It's Lu Ming. Everyone was shocked, and their eyes were fixed on Lu Ming, not knowing whether he was dead or alive. He's not dead, he's still breathing. Someone shouted. But his injuries are very serious. It seems that Lu Ming is still defeated. The figure that flew out was indeed Lu Ming. His injuries were indeed very serious, but they were far less serious than what others had imagined. His injuries were recovering quickly, and his combat strength was still at its peak. Furthermore, a portion of his potential had been stimulated. His bottleneck was broken. Boom! A powerful aura erupted from his body, and a divine light shrouded Lu Ming. This was the result of the potential stored in his cells being stimulated. His injuries were healing at an astonishing speed. His aura was also getting stronger. He had broken through to the 6th level Divine Lord realm. What? Everyone at the scene stood up from their seats one after another. Their eyes were wide open and they were all in disbelief. Lu Ming had broken through after being injured in the battle. This was the Divine Lord realm, and he could use this method to break through? Many people felt that their minds were about to explode, and they couldn't keep up with the pace. Impossible. This is impossible. It's fake, it's fake. The most agitated were Han Feng and Qi Ping. The two of them shouted hysterically as if they were going crazy. As for sect leader Wang, Han Xiling, and the others, their mouths were wide open, and they were completely stunned. It was possible to break through in a battle at a lower level or below the divine realm. It was very common, and many monstrous geniuses could do it. But in the Divine Lord realm, breaking through in the middle of a great battle was exceedingly few, virtually none. A breakthrough in the Divine Lord realm was not a child's game. Who didn't accumulate enough strength over a long period of time and then choose a time to go into seclusion and try for a long time before they could make a breakthrough? Lu Ming's breakthrough was too childish. However, he had succeeded in the end. How is this possible? Ziyangju was also in disbelief. The purple light around his body was trembling. It was obvious how shocked he was. Previously, when Lu Ming said that he wanted to borrow his strength to force himself to break through his limits, he thought it was laughable. He thought that Lu Ming was just being arrogant. He never expected that Lu Ming would actually succeed. He had actually become Lu Ming's stepping stone. Lu Ming had used him as a stepping stone to break through his cultivation. Even though the Ziyangju had a good character, his eyes were filled with coldness. So what? I can still defeat you. Eastern Purple Chi technique, come again. The Purple Sun Governor let out a roar. He took a few steps forward and formed a mysterious seal with his hands. Whoosh! Beyond the sky, another stream of purple chi flew over. The Ziyangju could actually still summon a stream of purple chi. Purple chi gathered, making the purple light on the Ziyangju's body become even more intense. He took a step forward and threw a punch out. The purple sun was high in the sky, pressing down on Lu Ming. Come at the right time. Lu Ming let out a long roar. He had just broken through to 6th level Divine Lord, his strength skyrocketing. He felt that there was inexhaustible strength all over his body. He rushed up and threw a punch out. Boom! The void exploded. The berserk fist force collided with the purple sun, erupting with a shocking rumble. The force was like a storm, sweeping in all directions. Bang! This time, a purple sun was forcefully blasted apart by Lu Ming's punch. While Lu Ming's figure only swayed slightly, Ziyangju's expression changed. Divine power burst forth, purple sun divine fist blasting out consecutively. A total of 9 purple suns pressed down on Lu Ming. Countless purple rays pierced towards Lu Ming like sharp swords. However, Lu Ming controlled the gravity orb, erupting with a powerful gravitational force. As Lu Ming's cultivation increased, even if it was the same 2 gravity orbs, the power of the gravitational force was also stronger than before. Under the pressure of the gravitational force, even the battle platform shook slightly as if it could not withstand the gravitational force and fell from the sky. Those purple rays that were like sharp swords were constantly shattered under the gravitational force. Even the 9 purple suns trembled, their power reduced by a lot. Boom! 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 Lu Ming rushed up and threw out a series of punches. The increase in cultivation was also an increase in overall combat strength. The taboo power was denser. In this way, the power of various secret techniques would naturally be stronger. Lu Ming instantly threw out hundreds of punches, fighting against the purple suns. Boom! Boom! Continuous rumbles sounded. The purple suns kept exploding, one after another. In the end, all 9 suns were destroyed by Lu Ming. Lu Ming's body did not stop as he continued to rush towards Ziyangju. Ziyangju's face changed drastically. He did not expect Lu Ming's combat strength to increase by so much just by raising his cultivation by 1 level. However, he was not afraid. With a shout, purple aura exploded and purple suns appeared one after another. The two of them fought with all their might. It was an intense battle, even more intense than the battle between Ziyangju and Feng Peng. In the blink of an eye, Dozens of moves had passed. As the battle continued, Lu Ming's cultivation became more and more stable. As the power flowed through his body, the power of his attacks also became stronger. Boom! Boom! Lu Ming threw out a series of punches, destroying a few purple suns. He rushed to Xiangzhou and threw out a punch. The terrifying fist energy penetrated Xiangzhou's protective purple aura and the violent power landed on Xiangzhou's body. Puff! Xiangzhou coughed out a mouthful of blood as he retreated. There was a large hole in his body that almost pierced through. Xiangzhou's face turned pale. At that moment, Lu Ming's combat strength had surpassed Xiangzhou's with the help of the gravity orb. Previously, without the help of the gravity orb, Lu Ming would not be able to fight against an ordinary first-layer Divine Emperor. However, after Lu Ming had broken through to the sixth-layer Divine Lord realm, he could fight against an ordinary first-layer Divine Emperor even without the help of the gravity orb. With the help of the gravity orb, he could kill such a Divine Emperor. His combat strength had surpassed Xiangzhou's. Of course, if one's combat strength was a little higher than his, he might not win. In a real battle, it depended on one's performance and battle experience. However, in terms of battle experience, how many people in the younger generation could compare with Lu Ming? Other than Di Jenny, who had fought his way out of the small world, there were not many geniuses in the primitive universe who could compare with Lu Ming. Moreover, Lu Ming was extremely talented in battle. Moreover, he had the battle word art. The battle word art could not only increase one's combat strength, but it could also increase one's battle talent. Chapter 3779. Therefore, with Lu Ming's combat power being higher than Xiangzhou's, it was impossible for Xiangzhou to defeat Lu Ming. Instead, they were completely suppressed by Lu Ming. Lu Ming's attack was like a torrential storm, unceasing, one after the other, surging towards Xiangzhou. Xiangzhou was at a disadvantage due to his injuries. For a moment, he could only parry, unable to retaliate. What's going on? The leaders of the various factions looked at each other in dismay. This scene was completely out of their expectations. Lu Ming was actually going to turn the tables. Previously, Lu Ming was completely at a disadvantage. Almost everyone thought that Lu Ming was going to lose, that he wasn't a match for Xiangzhou because his cultivation was too low. Who would have thought that Lu Ming would be able to make a breakthrough in the middle of the battle, turning the tables in one fell swoop? Now, he had the absolute advantage. This battle was full of twists and turns. It made the hearts of these experienced big shots fluctuate, unable to calm down. As for Han Feng and Qi Ping, their faces were pale, and their lips were trembling. It was as if they were dreaming. Sect leader Wang and the people of the Fengju Sword School were the opposite. They were so excited that they couldn't control themselves. If Lu Ming defeated Xiangzhou, then defeating Fengpeng wouldn't be a problem. Wouldn't that be taking first place? 8 consecutive victories, 1,600 points. First place, an additional 600 points. Wouldn't the total points of the Fengju Sword School be over 4,000? Then what rank would they be? Top 3? Just thinking about it made the people of the Fengju Sword School extremely excited. There's actually such an outstanding person in this world. Han Xiling sighed, her beautiful eyes were like a pool of spring water. Xiangzhou barely managed to endure more than 10 moves, but in the end, he was sent flying by Lu Ming, almost flying out of the stage. Do you still want to fight? Lu Ming stepped forward, but didn't continue to attack. He had a good impression of Xiangzhou, and this person had helped him make a breakthrough in his cultivation. He wouldn't force him too much. You win. In the end, Governor Ziyang sighed. Even at his peak, he wasn't a match for Lu Ming. Now that he was injured, there was no point in continuing the battle. He might as well admit defeat. The Violet Sun region admitting defeat also meant that Lu Ming had won. Whoosh! Many people exhaled deeply. Their eyes were still filled with shock. Before this, no one had expected this outcome. Ever since the Violet Sun region defeated Fengpeng, everyone thought that the Violet Sun region would definitely take first place. Who would have thought that before the competition ended, Lu Ming would rise up and defeat the Violet Sun region and change the situation? Everyone found the following matches dull and boring. They were still immersed in the battle between Lu Ming and the Purple Sun State. Soon, the 7th round began. This time, Lu Ming was up against Feng Peng. Everyone's interest was piqued, and they looked forward to an exciting battle. Naturally, Feng Peng wouldn't admit defeat so easily. He started an intense battle with Lu Ming. Feng Peng used a wandering method, wanting to exhaust Lu Ming's strength. Unfortunately, he chose the wrong opponent. At most, he would only cause some trouble for Lu Ming. In the end, both sides fought for 50 to 60 moves. Feng Peng was no match for Lu Ming and was sent flying out of the battle stage by Lu Ming. Lu Ming, 7 consecutive victories. The rest of the battle was just as everyone had expected. There were no unforeseen events. The last round of battles was even more dull. There were no strong showdowns. The remaining prodigy directly admitted defeat in the face of Lu Ming. The others also admitted defeat against Feng Peng and the Violet Sun region. It didn't cause any waves. When the last battle ended, the Resource Alliance agreement was completely over. Lu Ming, as a dark horse, obtained first place. He won 8 consecutive battles and helped the Fengju Sword sect obtain 8 consecutive victories. He obtained 1,600 points. The first place was also awarded 600 points. The Violet Sun region obtained second place and was awarded 400 points. Feng Peng obtained third place and was awarded 200 points. After all the battles ended, it was time to tabulate the points. Sect leader Wang walked over excitedly. Under the envious gazes of the other forces, the 18 forces began to determine the points. In the end, the Great Heaven sect obtained first place. They obtained the first place overall. After all, the Great Heaven sect's overall strength was too strong. This was based on the overall score. It was difficult to reverse the situation with one's strength. The Lichuan family obtained second place overall. The Fengju Sword sect obtained third place. Yes, that's right. This time, the Fengju Sword sect obtained the third place overall. Sect leader Wang, the elders of the Fengju Sword sect, and the other disciples of the Fengju Sword sect trembled in excitement. As for Han Feng, Qi Ping, and the rest, they were trembling in discomfort. Of course, there was also the Black Blood Hall. They were all gnashing their teeth, envious of the Fengju Sword sect. This time, the Black Blood Hall obtained the 9th place overall and entered the top 10. This was already an excellent result and something worth celebrating. However, compared to the Fengju Sword sect, the difference was too big. How could they still have the mood to celebrate? After the overall score was tabulated, it was time to pick the resource planets. First, the Great Heaven sect began to pick. They could only pick 3 planets at a time. I choose the Purple Gold Copper planet, Blood Tear Grass planet, and Blood Soul Flower planet. The Great Heaven sect leader picked 3 planets. The rest of the people were calm and they weren't too surprised. The 3 resource-rich planets were the best ones in Iron Sea Star area group. Why was it one of the best? After all, the Iron Sea Star region was huge and there were countless resource planets. Naturally, there were more than 3 good resource planets. However, there was no doubt that these 3 resource planets were the most valuable and most suitable for the Great Heaven sect. After the Great Heaven sect picked, it was the Lichuan family's turn. The head of the Lichuan family picked 3 resource planets. Next, it was the Fengju Sword sect's sect leader Wang's turn. However, sect leader Wang didn't say anything because he was in a dilemma. Since when had the Fengju Sword sect been ranked so high? Third place. There were still so many good resource planets in front of him. In the past, these resource planets were all things that he had dreamed of but could not obtain even in his dreams. Now, with so many resources in front of him, he really didn't know how to choose. He wanted this and that too. He couldn't bear to part with any of them. Sigh, it's so annoying to be ranked so high. Sect leader WN couldn't help but sigh. He wasn't showing off but he really couldn't help it because he was in a dilemma. However, to the other leaders of the forces, it was obvious that he was showing off. Especially the Black Blood Hall master. He was so envious that his eyeballs were about to pop out. Damn bastard. Isn't he just lucky to have an unparalleled genius? How dare you show off like this? How dare you? The Black Blood Hall Master roared in his heart. He didn't realize that his face was distorted because of jealousy. At this moment, sect leader Wang seemed to have realized that the surrounding people were looking at him as if they wanted to swallow him whole. He then realized that he had been too high profile. Chapter 3780. Sect leader Wang hurriedly calmed himself down and picked 3 resource planets with great hesitation. After the selection, sect leader Wang, the elders, and disciples of the Fengju Sword sect all had smiles on their faces. With these 3 resource-rich planets, they would have abundant resources for a long time in the future. Everyone's strength would increase tremendously, and so would the strength of the sect. Most importantly, with better resources, they would be able to recruit more supreme disciples. Humans were all realistic. As long as you had resources, there would naturally be people who would join you. The 18 forces made their selections one by one. There were naturally many resource-rich planets, and it was impossible to select all of them in a short time. However, some of the top resource-rich planets were limited. At the end of the list, there were no more top resource-rich planets. There were only some ordinary ones left. After the 18 forces made their selections, the second round of selections began from Great Hong Sect. In this manner, the selections continued. In every round, one force would pick 3 resource-rich planets. This continued until all the resource-rich planets were selected. After 2 days, all the resource-rich planets were selected. Then, the 18 forces signed an agreement to allocate the resource-rich planets. The resource-rich alliance was set by the emissaries of the Heavenly Palace, and all the forces had to abide by it. After the agreement came into effect, all the forces had to mine the resource-rich planets according to their previous selections. Those who violated the agreement would be attacked by the other forces. Only before the new resource-rich alliance would the various forces secretly send people to plunder the resources of other resource-rich planets. In fact, this was a game that all the forces had agreed to. After everyone had settled their matters, Lu Ming followed sect leader Wang back to Fengju Sword sect. He did not realize that there was a pair of flickering eyes staring at him from the Great Heaven sect's area. This pair of eyes belonged to the man in a white robe and a white bamboo hat. Even the Great Hong sect leader was respectful to him. After returning to Fengju Sword sect, everyone in Fengju Sword sect was shocked by the results of the battle. Everyone was shocked by Lu Ming's battle results. When the Fengju Sword sect found out that Lu Ming was a disciple of the Fengju Sword sect, they were stunned. Many people found it hard to believe and secretly investigated Lu Ming's identity. After some investigation, they found out that there was indeed a person called Mu Yun in the Feng City Sword sect. Mu Yun was definitely a member of the Feng City Sword sect. It was just that he usually kept a low profile and was too unsociable. He liked to cultivate alone, and not many people had seen him before. As a result, the entire plentiful city sword school was in an uproar. Everyone was praising him. Of course, there were many who praised Lu Ming, but even more praised sect leader Wang. Sect leader Wang had actually secretly nurtured such a shocking genius like Lu Ming. It was fine if he didn't make a move, but once he did, it would be shocking. When sect leader Wang heard this, he was stunned. Then, he thickened his skin and admitted it. Of course, there were many people who went to congratulate Lu Ming. In fact, there were many people who wanted to curry favor with him. Lu Ming braced himself and received them. However, a few days later, Lu Ming could not take it anymore. He simply used the excuse of going into seclusion and did not go out. In fact, he was really in seclusion. Those secret techniques that he had obtained back then, there were still many that he had not finished cultivating. The Resource Alliance agreement had ended. He could make use of the time to finish cultivating the remaining secret techniques. Time flew. A year passed in the blink of an eye. Lu Ming finally finished cultivating the remaining secret techniques in his hands. They turned into secret technique runes and merged into his cells. As a result, the secret techniques that Lu Ming mastered reached as many as 550 types. After refining the various secret techniques, Lu Ming took out a piece of white bone pearl and started refining it. When Lu Ming broke through to the 6th level of the Divine Lord realm, more than half of the energy stored in his cells had been consumed. It was less than 50%. The energy of the bone pearl was extremely pure. Even a divine emperor would be envious of it. It was very easy to absorb. It continuously merged into Lu Ming's cells and transformed into Lu Ming's potential. In less than a day, the energy of a bone pearl was completely absorbed by Lu Ming. Lu Ming was about to take out another one to continue absorbing when someone came. It was sect leader Wang. He brought a young woman to Lu Ming's residence. When Lu Ming saw sect leader Wang, he was slightly taken aback. Because that young woman was walking in front. Sect leader Wang was vaguely half a step behind this woman. His expression was rather respectful. What a beautiful woman! Lu Ming sized up the young woman. The young woman looked to be about 18 years old. She was wearing an emerald green dress. Her skin was fair and her facial features were exquisite. She was very beautiful. Among all the women that Lu Ming had seen, she was the best, second only to Autumn Moon, Xian Yanqing, and the others. The most special thing about the woman was her ears. Her ears were pointed, which made her different from humans. Other than that, she looked no different from humans. The elf race. Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat. The most famous race with pointed ears was the elf race, which ranked 36th on the list of 10,000 races of the untainted land. The 36th place on the list of 10,000 races of the untainted land was undoubtedly a terrifying top race. It was much stronger than the 99th place Ziying race. No wonder sect leader Wang was so respectful to this young woman. Miss Yuling, this is Mu Yun. Sect leader Wang pointed at Lu Ming and introduced him. I know, I've seen him before, the female elf said in a clear and pleasant voice. Then, she carefully sized up Lu Ming and said, Mu Yun, come with me. My young lady is waiting for you. Your young lady? Lu Ming was slightly stunned. Moreover, the other party said that she had seen him before, but Lu Ming had no impression of seeing her before. Could it be because of the resource covenant? After all, there were many people watching the battle. It was normal to see him before. Yes, let me tell you a piece of great news. You are my young lady's fiancé. Now come with me to see my young lady, and then return to the elf race to get married. Yuling said. What? Lu Ming's voice suddenly rose. His eyes widened and there was a look of disbelief on his face. What's going on? When did I become someone's fiancé? And the other party is from the elf race. What's going on? Is it that Mu Yun? Lu Ming thought of his substitute, the real Mu Yun of the Fengdu sword sect. But according to the information provided by the Fengdu sword sect, Mu Yun was a complete loser. How could he have a fiancé from the elf race? And the other party seemed to have a high status. How could this be possible? Conspiracy. It must be a conspiracy. On the side, sect leader Wang was also tongue-tied and completely confused. Obviously, he did not know what was going on. What? You don't want to? Yuling frowned. Miss Yuling, are you mistaken? I'm just an ordinary disciple of the Fengdu sword sect. How can I be worthy of your young lady? I'll have to trouble you to investigate this thoroughly. Lu Ming tried his best to persuade her. Chapter 3781. Yuling frowned, staring at Lu Ming, and said, Are you called Mu Yun? Are you a disciple of the Feng City sword sect? That's right. Lu Ming could only brace himself and admit it. Then that's it. You and my young miss were betrothed. You might not have any memories, but your parents definitely do. Yuling said. Well, I'm alone right now, and I've never heard my parents mention it before. Miss Yuling, after all, there are many people with the same name. I think you must have made a mistake. Lu Ming defended himself. If it were anyone else, a young miss of the elf clan would definitely laugh her head off if she suddenly came looking for him to marry her. The elf clan was a famous beautiful race in the great desolate universe. The man was handsome, and the woman was beautiful. Just look at this wandering spirit, you can tell. But Lu Ming couldn't, he already had a wife, how could he marry someone else? He absolutely could not agree. What's wrong with you? My young miss wants to marry you. That's your 10 lifetimes, no, 100 lifetimes, 1,000 lifetimes of fortune. Do you know who my young miss is? My young miss's name is Ling Yu Wei, and she is one of the 20 pearls recognized by the Great Desolate Universe. Do you know how many people are chasing after my young miss? You can circle around your Feng City, do you know that? Yu Ling's eyes widened as she glared at Lu Ming angrily. A mere disciple of the Feng City sword sect, her young miss wanted to marry him, but she actually tried to stop him, as if she was unwilling. This was simply preposterous. If he hadn't seen Lu Ming fight before and had some talent, he would have already slapped Lu Ming in the face. Even so, did Lu Ming think that he was worthy of her young miss? She didn't know what her young miss was thinking. Although Mu Yun's talent was astonishing, there were still heaven-defying existences among the people who pursued her young miss. Why did she choose this brat? Was it really because of the engagement? Universe's 20 pearls, Ling Yu Wei. Lu Ming was flabbergasted. Of course, he knew of Ling Yu Wei's name. With the dreamy divine jade, how could he not know about the peerless geniuses of the primitive universe? He was a peerless talent on the universe list. The 20 pearl names on the pearl list of the untainted universe were all leaders of the younger generation in the untainted universe. The appearance of each of them would cause a sensation. He had seen the most talented heroes several times. Ling Yu Wei, the princess of the elf clan, was peerless in her generation, unparalleled in her beauty, and her cultivation talent was also extremely high. There were only 20 pearl names on the pearl list of the primitive universe. Therefore, being pretty wasn't enough to make it onto the pearl list. There were countless creatures in the primitive universe, and many of them were beautiful. However, if one wanted to be on the pearl list, not only did they have to be beautiful, they also had to have a shocking talent for cultivation. Therefore, not only were the pearl names on the prehistoric pearl list beautiful, but they were also peerless geniuses. Some of them were even geniuses on the prehistoric universe list. Lu Ming had never thought that such a talented girl would actually want to marry him. At the side, sect leader Wang was also dumbstruck. This banquet came too suddenly. It's a pity that I don't have the fortune to enjoy it. Lu Ming sighed in his heart. Seeing Lu Ming and sect leader Wang's dumbstruck expressions, Wandering Spirit revealed a complacent expression and said, "Now you know how many lifetimes of fortune you have cultivated. All right, now come with me. Of course, with my family's young Mrs. status, it's impossible for her to marry you, so you need to marry into her family. Do you understand? Let's go." After Wandering Spirit finished speaking, she turned around and was about to leave. She was sure that Lu Ming would definitely follow her after hearing Ling Yu Wei's name. In the primitive universe, not many men could refuse this condition. Unfortunately, Lu Ming refused, so he stood there without moving. After taking a few steps, Wandering Spirit realized that Lu Ming did not follow. She stopped and turned around, looking at Lu Ming in disbelief. You're not following? I think you guys are mistaken. My parents really didn't mention it before. Lu Ming said it again very seriously. You're really an idiot, a stupid pig. Are you a man or not? Yu Ling was anxious. She had originally thought that the mission of this trip would be very simple. She only needed to inform Lu Ming that Lu Ming would follow her back. She never thought that Lu Ming would actually refuse. He was simply a block of wood. You can call me stupid, but you can't doubt whether I'm a man or not. Do you want to check? Lu Ming said. You're shameless. Temph, I can't be bothered to care about you. Yu Ling's face flushed red. She stomped her feet in anger and turned to leave. Little brother Mu, this is a great opportunity. How can you refuse? Sect leader Wang cried out in pity. Lu Ming was now considered a disciple of the Feng City sword sect. If Lu Ming married the elf princess Ling Yu Wei, then the Feng City sword sect would be on the elf clan's boat. In the future, in the Iron Sea Starfield group, which force would dare to go against them? Lu Ming furrowed his brows and said, "Sect leader Wang, I want to know the background of that Mu Yun. Have you investigated clearly? Why does he have a fiancée? Moreover, she is the princess of the elf tribe. I don't know about that either." Sect leader Wang was also completely at a loss. The original Mu Yun was just a very inconspicuous disciple of the Feng City sword sect. His talent was average, and he was extremely low-key. He was not even famous in the Feng City Sword sect, so how could he be related to the high and mighty elf princess? The difference between the Mu Yun of the Feng City Sword sect and the elf princess Ling Yuwei was like an earthworm and a dragon. These two had an engagement. They wouldn't believe it even if they were beaten to death. Sect leader Wang, I hope that you can send someone to carefully investigate the background of that Mu Yun and see if it's true. If it's fake, Lu Ming's eyes flashed with a cold light. If it was fake, then the dignified elf princess actually wanted to marry him. There must be a conspiracy. All right, I'll send someone to carefully investigate again. Sect leader Wang calmed down and also felt that something was wrong. Soon, sect leader Wang left. Lu Ming frowned and began to think. He always felt that this matter was not that simple, but there were no clues. After thinking for a while, he still couldn't come up with a reason. He could only give up and continue to cultivate. He had already finished cultivating the secret technique in his hands. He focused more of his energy on the battle formula and the taboo force. What was worth mentioning was that after such a long period of comprehension, as well as the series of battles in the Resource Alliance, his comprehension of the battle formula had finally broken through. He could already trigger the battle formula to increase his battle strength by 6 times, but the probability was not high. It was only about 1 in 30. Chapter 3782. The battle character formula was the origin of battle. The further one cultivated, the more difficult it would be to comprehend. It had already been a long time since he had cultivated the battle character formula to a 100% success rate. During this period of time, he did not give up on comprehending the battle character formula. As long as he had the time, he would comprehend and cultivate it. After cultivating for such a long time, he had finally broken through. It could be considered a matter of course. Of course, he needed to continue to deepen his comprehension in order to increase the success rate of triggering it. It was even more difficult to increase the success rate with 6 times the battle strength than before. Lu Ming did not wait long. About 7 days later, sect leader Wang came again. Sect leader Wang, how's the investigation going? Lu Ming asked. Sect leader Wang looked at Lu Ming with a strange expression and said, "Little brother Mu Yun, we didn't investigate clearly before. It was my mistake." A bad premonition arose in Lu Ming's heart as he asked, "Sect leader Wang, what do you mean by that?" "What I mean is, Mu Yun really does have an engagement with the elven princess," sect leader Wang said. When he said this, even he himself felt that it was inconceivable. Lu Ming was even more stunned. It's like this. Although not many people have seen Mu Yun before, after some investigation, we still found some clues. Mu Yun had an old housekeeper who knew everything about Mu Yun. However, after Mu Yun's father passed away, the old housekeeper also left Mu Yun and moved to another place to live. It took us a lot of effort to find the old housekeeper, sect leader Wang said. Lu Ming frowned. He knew that the reason why sect leader Wang did not bring that old butler here was because he was afraid that he would find out that he was not the real Mu Yun. Sect leader Wang continued, according to that old butler, before Mu Yun was born, Mu Yun's father had once saved a person. Later on, it was confirmed that that person was the grandfather of the current elf princess Ling Yuwei, who was also the elf clan's patriarch. Fortunately, Mu Yun's father saved him. The elf clan's patriarch was a person who valued friendship. At that time, the elf princess Ling Yuwei and Mu Yun were not yet born and were pregnant. In order to repay Mu Yun's father, the elf clan's patriarch decided to marry Mu Yun's father. There's really such a thing. Lu Ming was dumbstruck, thinking that he was dreaming. He was just to find someone to replace his identity, and there were actually so many things to do. This time, it should be true. Later, when the elf patriarch recovered from his injuries, he gathered the elites of the elf tribe and went back to suppress the rebellion. However, due to his heavy injuries, his internal injuries flared up, and he didn't live for long before he died. After he fell, the current elf clan's patriarch succeeded him, which is Ling Yuwei's father. But at this time, something happened. Sect leader Wang continued. The elf clan doesn't recognize it. Lu Ming guessed. That's right. After Ling Yue was born, she revealed a terrifying talent. Her talent was unparalleled, and her talent was peerless. As for Mu Yun, his talent was mediocre, and the difference between him and Ling Yue was too great. Furthermore, when Mu Yun was young, his parents both passed away. After Mu Yun's parents passed away, they completely cut off all contact with the elf clan, and the old butler also left. This matter was originally left unsettled, and there weren't many people who knew about it. Sect leader Wang's expression was somewhat complicated. Lu Ming was stunned. He was flabbergasted and dumbstruck. He could even encounter such a melodramatic thing. He just wanted to find someone to replace his identity, but now, the elf princess was involved. Have the people of the elf clan seen that Lu Ming before? Lu Ming asked. He was worried about this problem. If the people of the elf clan had seen Mu Yun, they would know that he was fake the moment they met him. It would be easy to determine based on the aura of his life origin. I don't think so. According to the old butler, after Mu Yun was born, he hasn't seen anyone from the elf clan, sect leader Wang said. Lu Ming secretly heaved a sigh of relief. However, after thinking about it, the old elf clan leader died a few years after suppressing the rebellion of the elf clan. Other than the old elf clan leader, the rest of the elf clan looked down on Mu Yun and his father. After all, the difference between the two parties was too great. It was normal for the people of the elf clan to not see Mu Yun. However, why did the other party suddenly come to look for him now? Little brother Mu Yun, I reckon that the elf princess saw your performance at the Resource Alliance Agreement. I received news that during the Resource Alliance Agreement, a big shot of the elf clan came here and was received by the heavenly Hongsek. Maybe the elf princess saw your talent and was impressed by it, so she agreed to this marriage contract. This is also an opportunity for you, sect leader Wang said. Of course, he hoped that Lu Ming would agree to this marriage contract. I am me, not Mu Yun of the Feng City Sword Sect. This is impossible. Lu Ming rejected directly. Sect leader Wang was speechless. He couldn't understand why Lu Ming would reject such a temptation. If it were him, he would have agreed long ago. After sect leader Wang left, Lu Ming frowned and started to think. Should he just leave? However, he had spent a lot of effort to get this identity, and it was really suitable. Not many people had seen him before, and he might not be able to find such a suitable identity in other places. Without a suitable identity, it would be difficult to become a heavenly soldier of the heavenly palace. Lu Ming had a headache. Whatever, as long as I don't want to, that Ling Yue can't force herself on me, right? Lu Ming thought it through and decided to ignore it and continue to cultivate in peace. However, there was no such thing as an airtight wall in the world. This matter still spread out, and at an astonishing speed, it quickly spread throughout the entire Feng City Sword Sect. When countless disciples of the Feng City Sword Sect found out about this, they were simply envious and jealous of Lu Ming. When they found out that Lu Ming had actually rejected the elf princess, their eyeballs almost popped out of their sockets. They secretly cursed Lu Ming for being stupid. Some people even beat their chests and stamped their feet, wishing that they could replace Lu Ming. Especially after Qi Ping found out about this news, he was so jealous that he was about to go crazy. The heavens are unfair, the heavens are unfair. How could that brat Mu Yun have such good luck? Qi Ping roared in his heart. He had seen Ling Yue's appearance in the dream space, and it was simply shocking. Such a proud daughter of heaven was actually Mu Yun's fiancée. The flames of his jealousy were about to ignite him. However, when he heard Lu Ming's rejection, he was wild with joy. He secretly cursed Lu Ming for being an idiot, to even reject such an opportunity. I heard that the geniuses who are pursuing Ling Yue can circle around Feng City Star. That brat Mu Yun actually has an engagement with Ling Yue, hehe. Qi Ping's gaze turned as he let out a few sneers. Chapter 3783. Qi Ping revealed a conspiratorial smile, then took out the illusory jade and sent a message. It was the news of Lu Ming and Ling Yue's engagement. Furthermore, it was clear that Lu Ming had rejected Ling Yue. The moment this news came out, it instantly exploded in the great desolate universe. Countless geniuses exploded. The high and mighty elf princess Ling Yue, who was peerless in her generation, actually had an engagement. Moreover, the other party was actually a disciple of an ordinary universe-level power. Many people had never even heard of the Feng City Sword sect. This was simply putting a chicken and a phoenix together. The key point was that the elf princess Ling Yue was planning to marry this person. More importantly, this brat called Mu Yun had rejected it. Countless geniuses seemed to have suffered a heavy blow. They felt their hearts ache, and then their eyes turned cold. That Mu Yun, I don't know how many lifetimes of good fortune he has accumulated to actually have an engagement with Princess Yue. Furthermore, he actually rejected it. How preposterous! Who does he think he is? Damn it, where is the Feng City Sword sect? I'm going to find him. I'm going to cripple that brat. Many people roared in the illusory space. They bitterly pursued Ling Yue, but Ling Yue didn't even care about them. But what about Mu Yun? Ling Yue took the initiative to marry Mu Yun, but he actually rejected Ling Yue. Compared to him, what were they? Was he trash? This was a huge blow to their self-esteem. From their point of view, Lu Ming was slapping their faces. Therefore, countless geniuses said that they wanted to kill their way to the Feng City Sword sect and teach Lu Ming a lesson. At the same time, these geniuses also had the same thought. They wanted to trample Lu Ming under their feet and let Ling Yue see who was the real genius. He was the one who was worthy of her, Ling Yue. For a time, many geniuses inquired about the location of the Feng City Sword sect and inquired about Mu Yun. In the Feng City Sword sect, Qi Ping saw the news in the illusory space and revealed a complacent smile. Lu Ming, let's see how you die this time. Qi Ping sneered. He thought for a while and sent out another message in the illusory space. Of course, his name in the dream realm wasn't his real name. Otherwise, he wouldn't have dared to use it. He mentioned in the dream space that Lu Ming's combat strength was not weak. Relying on a 6th-level divine lord, he defeated the Xiang prefecture of the Ziying race. The reason he spread this news was not to raise Lu Ming's status or to help Lu Ming become famous. His goal was to let the prodigies of the various races know about Lu Ming's battle prowess. Then, more powerful prodigies would come, and not some useless prodigies who wouldn't be a match for Lu Ming. The moment this news came out, it caused a huge commotion. The Purple Sun Province was, after all, the outstanding talents of the top 100 races. Among the quasi-emperors, they were rather famous in the entire Great Desolate Universe. And Lu Ming was just a 6th-level divine lord. He could actually defeat the Violet Sun Province. I don't believe it. These Sky Prides could not believe it at all after reading the news. Who, a disciple of a faction in a corner, actually said that relying on a 6th-level divine lord to defeat the Violet Sun Province, simply laughable. A colossal joke. I reckon that it was that Mu Yun who got people to release the news, wanting to scare us away. It's just that he's a little too ignorant. A 6th-level divine lord can defeat the Violet Sun Province. Does he think that he's a monster of the top 10 races or a hero of the Heavenly Palace? Bragging, not afraid of biting your tongue, idiot. Under that message that Qi Ping sent, a bunch of people replied. Of course, they were all scolding Qi Ping, mocking and ridiculing Qi Ping. After Qi Ping saw it, he was also dumbfounded with his mouth agape, not expecting this result. Humph, don't care, as long as an expert comes and exterminates Mu Yun, that fellow, it will do. Qi Ping snorted coldly. During this process, the Violet Sun Province himself did not come out to defend himself from start to end. Presumably, he also did not have the face to come out and say anything after being defeated at the hands of a 6th-level divine lord. Lu Ming did not expect that it would cause such a huge wave. By the time he saw the news from the fantasy space, it was already half a month later. At this time, the fantasy space had long burst into an uproar. Many Heaven's Prides had long set off on a journey to find Lu Ming. Nest, who leaked the news. Lu Ming was greatly enraged. Right at this time, Lu Ming's expression changed, his gaze looking into the distance. Bang! Bang! In the distance, one powerful aura after another rose up, spreading over here like a fierce wind. Then, one figure after another appeared in the horizon. All of them were young men. There were a total of several dozen people, heading over here with extremely swift speed. Not long after, several dozen experts surrounded the place where Lu Ming stayed. Lu Ming frowned and stepped out, arriving outside the courtyard. Several dozen pairs of gazes landed on Lu Ming uniformly. "You're Mu Yun?" A youth with a sturdy figure stared at Lu Ming and asked. "That's right." Lu Ming nodded. His gaze swept around and did not see anyone from Fengju Sword Sect, nor did he see Sect Head Wang and the rest. This was within his expectations. Sect Head Wang and Fengju Sword Sect's people did not dare to appear. Clearly, his location was most likely also informed by Fengju Sword Sect. These Heaven's Prides who dared to pursue Ling Yuwei and had the qualifications to pursue Ling Yuwei practically all came from large clans on the Great Desolate 10,000 clans list. Without a certain status, how could they have the qualifications to pursue Ling Yuwei, nor did they have the confidence and courage. Therefore, Fengju Sword Sect did not dare to offend these Heaven's Prides at all. It was already not bad that they could not help either side. How could they dare to stand up for Lu Ming? After hearing Lu Ming admit it, these Heaven's Prides all had fire in their eyes. One after another, ice-cold auras landed on Lu Ming's body. Their gazes were sharp like swords, as if wanting to see through Lu Ming. Sure enough, he's only a 6th-level divine lord. Such a person might be considered a genius in a mere Fengju Sword Sect, but in the Great Desolate Universe, he's nothing. How can he be worthy of Princess Yu Wei? What's even more hateful is that he actually rejected Princess Yu Wei. What does he think he is? Just a piece of trash. He actually found someone to say that he defeated the Purple Sun Province in the dream space. What a joke. This is the result of ignorance. One after another, voices of displeasure and jealousy sounded out. Lu Ming was also displeased when he heard this. What does the matter between me and Ling Yuwei have to do with you guys? I still have to cultivate. If you guys have nothing else, please leave. Lu Ming said coolly. Haha, even now, this kid is still pretending. This is ridiculous. Someone sneered and mocked. How is it? Who should we hand this person over to? Someone looked at the others. A mere 6th-level divine lord, any one of us can suppress him. However, there's no need to use a butcher's knife to kill a chicken. I'll do it. You guys use the Dream Divine Jade to synchronize the scene of me suppressing this kid into the dream space. Let everyone see this kid's joke. A youth with 2 noses stepped out. This person had the cultivation of an 8th-level divine lord. He was a Heaven's Pride of the multinose race in the Great Desolate Universe. Chapter 3784. Alright, let's do it this way. I'll synchronize it, equivalent to a live broadcast. I'll use live broadcast in the future. It's easier to understand. Several youths took out the illusory divine jade. The illusory divine jade glowed and faced Lu Ming. The illusory divine jade could be recorded and transmitted. It could also be broadcasted live. Others could see it directly through the illusory divine jade. At this moment, countless geniuses of the primitive universe saw Lu Ming's image through the illusory divine jade. Is it very ordinary? What race is it? It seems to be a human. I really don't know what kind of luck this person has. He actually has an engagement with Princess Yue. The key is that this person rejected it. I'm so angry. Many people were discussing. The more they looked at Lu Ming, the angrier they became. They were looking forward to Lu Ming being suppressed. Boom. At this moment, the youth with 2 noses stepped forward and pressed towards Lu Ming. The aura of an 8th-level divine lord continuously erupted. Kid, kneel down. In front of the whole world, admit that you're not worthy of Princess Yue. Admit that you're trash. The youth with 2 noses said coldly. This scheme of his was truly vicious. If Lu Ming said so in front of the whole world, then he would lose all face. Even if he had an engagement with Ling Yue, the elf race would definitely not let Ling Yue marry Lu Ming. Marrying such a person was equally shameful for the elf race. All right. The other geniuses secretly applauded, secretly praising what a good plan. Of course, there was also someone who was secretly anxious. That was Qi Ping. What an idiot, a mere 8th level divine lord. Qi Ping scolded the youth with 2 noses. Lu Ming was an existence who had defeated the purple sun state. You're just an 8th level divine lord, yet you're so arrogant now. When you're beaten up later, not only will Lu Ming not lose face, but his reputation will also soar. However, he couldn't rush out to remind him now. Is there something wrong with your head? Lu Ming indifferently glanced at the youth with 2 noses. Kid, it seems like you don't agree. Then kneel down. Murderous intent flashed in the 2-nosed young man's eyes. His god force erupted as he struck out with his palm. A huge palm formed and pressed down on Lu Ming. It wanted to force Lu Ming to his knees and humiliate Lu Ming in front of the whole world. However, Lu Ming stood there motionless, allowing the palm to press down on him. He looked like he was petrified. Haha, look, that kid is stunned. He's probably scared out of his wits. He even forgot to dodge. He's probably locked onto by the aura. You'll know whether an expert is capable or not the moment he makes a move. You'll know whether he's capable or not the moment he makes a move. That person even asked someone to boast in the illusory space that he defeated the Purple Sun Prefecture. What a joke. That's right. The Sky Prides of the various clans who were watching the live broadcast through the illusory space began to discuss among themselves. Sending a message through the dreamscape didn't need to be written word by word. Instead, the message could be sent with just a thought. Because of this, the communication speed was very fast. It was even faster than the time it took to communicate with mouth. At this moment, the communication between these people came to an abrupt end. This was because just as the huge palm was about to press down on Lu Ming made his move. Boom! Lu Ming casually slashed out with his palm. A dazzling sword radiance burst out and the palm of the 2-nosed young man was easily sliced apart. You're quite capable. Then, let's see how you're going to deal with this move. The 2-nosed young man roared angrily. His 2 noses enlarged and his nostrils became several times larger. Roar! Roar! 2 consecutive roars erupted from his nostrils and formed a terrifying pressure that pressed down on Lu Ming. This was a sound wave attack. The 2-nosed young man had already used his trump card. The pressure was so terrifying that it caused the space to explode continuously. It formed a pitch-black space that seemed to be able to crush everything. However, this attack might be terrifying to others, but it was nothing to Lu Ming. Swoosh! Lu Ming dashed out directly, facing the terrifying pressure and dashing into it. The terrifying pressure was like a gentle breeze that did not cause any damage to Lu Ming. Lu Ming rushed through and arrived in front of the 2-nosed young man in an instant. The distance between the two of them was only a few centimeters and they almost collided. The 2-nosed young man was stunned. His eyes were wide open and the nostrils of his 2 nostrils expanded. For a moment, he actually forgot to retreat. Bam! Lu Ming slapped out and slapped the 2-nosed young man's face. Ah! With a shrill scream, the 2-nosed young man was sent flying tens of thousands of meters away and spun tens of thousands of rounds in the air. When he stopped, he was completely dizzy. His 2 noses were completely deformed and squeezed together, becoming one. His face was distorted beyond recognition, and blood kept flowing out of his mouth. He couldn't even fly and fell to the ground. He was caught by another genius. Otherwise, he would be in a worse state. The scene, as well as those geniuses watching through the dream space, quietened down all at once. Lu Ming actually one-shotted the 2-nosed young man in one move. One had to know, Lu Ming was just a 6th level Divine Lord, while the 2-nosed young man was an 8th level Divine Lord. A full 2 realms difference, and he was actually so weak. Just one move and it unavoidably aroused these people's attention on Lu Ming. Putting aside whether the matter of Lu Ming defeating the Violet Yangju in the dream space previously was true or not, just Lu Ming being able to defeat the 2-nosed young man now was sufficient to show how terrifying Lu Ming's talent was. A mere Fengju sword sect actually had such a person? Humph, talent is not bad. But wanting to match up to Princess Yue, it's still too far away. That's right. Furthermore, his attitude is so arrogant, looking down on everyone. No matter how good his talent is, he's also just a 6th level Divine Lord. The next instant, some people snorted coldly, the cold light in their eyes becoming even stronger. "I'll suppress him." Another young man stepped out. This young man had a tall and sturdy build. Although his appearance was not very handsome, he had a masculine aura. Behind him, there was a tail that was the most eye-catching. A powerful aura erupted from this young man's body, spreading over toward Lu Ming. However, it did not have the slightest impact on Lu Ming. "Quasi-Emperor, is it?" Lu Ming muttered, his eyes flashing. This was a Quasi-Emperor level Heaven's Chosen. Clearly, seeing the two-nosed young man being easily defeated, the other 8th level Divine Lord and 9th level Divine Lord existences did not dare to make a move for a moment, lacking confidence. It was the safest for a Quasi-Emperor level Heaven's Chosen to take action. "Come on, bring out your strongest strength. Otherwise, that two-nosed young man will be your outcome," Lu Ming said. "Impudent, kill." The burly young man gave a loud bellow and suddenly took a step out. He just took a step out, but his speed was astonishingly fast. In an instant, he appeared in front of Lu Ming. His pair of fingers grew sharp nails. This person's original form should be a raccoon. These were raccoon claws. Chapter 3785. Kai Kai. His claw was like a heavenly blade that tore through the void and grabbed at Lu Ming's neck. Not bad, but it's still far from being comparable to Xiangzhou and Fengpeng. Lu Ming could sense the opponent's strength as soon as he made a move. With such strength, Lu Ming didn't even need to activate the battle character art. He used his finger like a sword and stabbed out a few times. Lu Ming attacked first and tapped at the burly youth's palm. The burly youth's expression changed. He clenched his claw and used his sharp fingernails to meet Lu Ming's finger. Peng! Peng! The two attacks collided. Break! There was a chilling glint in the burly young man's eyes. His fingernails were sharper than divine weapons. Lu Ming actually used his fingers to fight head-on with him. He was simply asking for a beating. He wanted to sever Lu Ming's fingers in an instant. However, at the moment of collision, the burly young man's expression changed. He felt that Lu Ming's fingers were harder than divine metal. His fingernails cut the surface of Lu Ming's fingers, but they did not move at all. On the contrary, his fingernails made creaking sounds and became deformed. In the end, they even broke with a few cracking sounds. Not good. The burly youth's expression changed and he quickly retreated. It's too late to retreat now. Lu Ming was faster than him. He followed closely behind the burly youth. Now's the time. Originally, the burly youth was retreating with panic on his face. But at this moment, his panic completely disappeared. Instead, he revealed a sinister smile. Whoosh! Behind the burly youth, a black shadow stabbed at Lu Ming. It was faster than a steel whip and sharper than a divine sword. It was the tail of the burly youth. Origin Source Secret Technique. Lu Ming didn't need to look to know that this was the burly youth's origin source secret technique. It turned out that this person's origin source secret technique was hidden in the tail. He hadn't used it before so that he could catch Lu Ming off guard and take him down. Unfortunately, Lu Ming wasn't an ordinary person. He had underestimated Lu Ming. Interesting. Lu Ming's expression didn't change at all. He still had a faint smile on his face. In an instant, he activated the battle character incantation and doubled his battle prowess, increasing his strength and the speed of his palm. With a sudden grab, he grabbed the burly young man's tail, preventing him from moving. Not good. This time, the burly youth's complexion changed greatly. His sudden attack was his strongest attack, but it didn't affect Lu Ming at all. Instead, it was easily caught by Lu Ming. Furthermore, he felt that Lu Ming's hand was as steady as an inextinguishable star. His tail couldn't move in the slightest. "Let go of me," the burly young man roared, and his fists suddenly blasted towards Lu Ming's head. Humph! Lu Ming coldly harumphed and suddenly exerted strength, grabbing the burly youth's tail and swinging it around. Berserk energy surged through the burly youth's tail, causing him to feel his entire body go soft and unable to exert any strength. He was swung around by Lu Ming. Huff, huff, huff. Lu Ming picked up the burly youth with one hand and suddenly spun him. In an instant, he spun at least a few 100,000 times. Such a high frequency of spinning was extremely terrifying. It caused the air and space to become a great killing weapon. They rubbed against the burly youth and turned into terrifying energy that bombarded his body. Catcher, catcher. The burly youth's muscles were torn and his bones were broken. Blood kept oozing out of his nose and mouth. In the end, Lu Ming threw him out. He crashed heavily on the ground, creating a huge crater. The burly youth lay in the crater, unable to move at all. This time, the Sky Prides at the scene and the Sky Prides who were watching the live broadcast through the illusory divine jade were all stunned. Previously, Lu Ming had defeated two-nosed youths. It was still acceptable. After all, the gap between the two wasn't particularly shocking. But now, it was shocking. Lu Ming, with his 6th-level Divine Lord cultivation, had crossed 4 realms and defeated a quasi-emperor-level Sky Pride. Such battle prowess was truly terrifying. Could it be that the illusory divine jade said that Mu Yun had really defeated Xiangzhou? Such a thought appeared in everyone's mind. Immediately, someone who knew Xiangzhou passed the news to him. Xiangzhou didn't deny it and admitted it generously. Once the news was out, there was an uproar in the illusory divine space. The news from before was actually true. Mu Yun had actually defeated the Xiang prefecture. Xiangzhou wasn't the burly youth from before. Xiangzhou had a certain reputation in the circle of quasi-emperors in the entire primitive universe. His combat strength was so strong that he could cross realms and kill ordinary divine emperors. Such a person had actually been defeated by Mu Yun. Didn't that mean that Mu Yun could kill ordinary first-level divine emperors with his 6th-level divine lord cultivation? Heaven-defying. A phrase appeared in everyone's mind. They didn't expect that such a person would appear in the small Fengdu sword sect. It was really heaven-defying. Even the seniors of many major races and forces were alarmed. They watched the situation on Lu Ming's side through the illusory divine jade. This kid does have some strength. Are we going to let him go just like that? That's right. Are we going to let him humiliate Princess Yue just like that? Unforgivable. In the illusory divine jade, some of Ling Yue's pursuers or people with ulterior motives spoke up to provoke the crowd. That's right. Today, we came with a lot of people. If we were beaten back by this kid, it would be embarrassing. At the scene, another young man spoke up. This young man was dressed in a grey robe and carried an iron saber on his back. He was like an unsheathed saber. Of course we can't go back just like that. Interesting. My hands are itching. Who will do it? Another young man in a yellow robe looked at the young man with the saber. Let me do it. I want to see how he can defeat Xiangzhou. After the young man with the saber finished speaking, he stepped forward. Buzz. The saber that was originally quiet jumped and was held in the young man's hand. Suddenly, a saber light broke through the clouds and rushed into the starry sky. The broken saber of the Divine Saber Clan is going to make a move. Many people's eyes lit up. The Divine Saber Clan's ranking in the Great Desolate 10,000 clans was not high. They were only ranked 2398. They were far inferior to the Ziying clan. However, it did not mean that there were no terrifying monsters just because their ranking was inferior. The broken saber was a terrifying monster. In the circle of quasi-emperors, his reputation was greater than that of Xiangzhou. It was said that he was also stronger. Everyone was looking forward to seeing how Lu Ming defeated Xiangzhou with his 6th-level Divine Lord realm strength. The broken saber would definitely be able to force out all of Lu Ming's strength. Bang! The broken saber stepped out and stepped on the void. Heaven and earth trembled violently. Dense saber lights surged toward Lu Ming. The snow-white saber lights were densely packed, almost drowning Lu Ming. There were tens of thousands of them. Chapter 3786. The densely packed blade auras rushed towards Lu Ming, but Lu Ming threw out a punch. The violent fist force crushed the void and everything in front of him exploded. All the blade auras were drowned by the void and disappeared without a trace. You don't have to test me. Just use your full strength, Lu Ming said. As he spoke, Lu Ming had already activated the Battle Character Sutra to increase his combat strength by 5 times. This broken knife gave him a lot of pressure, as if he was facing the Xiang Prefecture. Therefore, Lu Ming did not dare to be careless. Indeed, I have made an unnecessary move. You have the right to make me use my full strength. As Broken Knife's eyes opened and closed, rays of dazzling blade auras burst out. The aura on his body continued to surge. A dazzling blade shadow rushed out from between his eyebrows and merged with the iron blade in his hand. This was Broken Knife's ultimate secret technique. Shattering iron blade, slash. Broken Knife roared and slashed out with his blade. Whoosh. A shocking saber gleam slashed toward the top of Lu Ming's head. The void was split open. The terrifying saber gleam, along with everything, fell toward Lu Ming. However, this was not the end. When Broken Knife slashed out, he moved and rushed towards Lu Ming. He changed his blade aura and slashed out horizontally. A horizontal blade aura slashed towards Lu Ming. It formed a cross with the previous blade aura and slashed towards Lu Ming. The blade aura was extremely fast. In the blink of an eye, it was close to Lu Ming. Gravity Orb. Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat. He activated the gravity orb and a powerful gravitational force burst out, enveloping the vast void. Buzz buzz. The 2 blade auras were pressed down by the gravitational force and immediately vibrated. Following which, Lu Ming brandished his fists and bombarded the 2 saber gleams. The saber gleams vibrated and dispersed. What powerful strength! All of the remaining prodigies present, as well as the prodigies of the various races who were watching the battle through the illusory divine jade, as well as some of the older generation figures, were all stunned. The fact that Zhong Xian was able to overcome the attack of the small knife so easily showed that his fighting prowess was frightening. He was much stronger than the burly young man whom he had dealt with previously. Obviously, Lu Ming hadn't used his full strength just now. Amazing. Again, Xiao Dao roared and approached Lu Ming. Xiao Dao unceasingly chopped towards Lu Ming. The attack of the saber technique was direct, domineering, and powerful. The dazzling saber light emitted a terrifying whistling sound as it chopped towards Lu Ming, sealing off all of Lu Ming's paths of retreat, forcing Lu Ming to take it head-on. Lu Ming controlled the gravity orb, and the powerful pressure constantly pressed down on Xiao Dao, forcing him to circulate his divine power to resist the gravity. Boom! Lu Ming clenched his fists and mobilized all of his cells, activating the secret skills in all of them. These secret skills gathered together and turned into 2 balls that wrapped around Lu Ming's fists. Lu Ming used his fists to resist Xiao Dao's saber. The 2 of them exchanged dozens of blows in the blink of an eye. What a powerful attack! It's even stronger than the attack from the Purple Sun State. Lu Ming was also shocked. There were indeed many prodigies in the Eldritch universe. He couldn't underestimate anyone. Xiao Dao's saber technique was extremely domineering and powerful. It was even more powerful than the East Rising Purple Chi art from the Purple Sun State. Xiao Dao's ability to fight head-on was even stronger. However, Lu Ming was also slightly stronger than when he had fought against the Purple Sun State. Firstly, his cultivation level had become more stable. Secondly, during this period of time, he had cultivated some secret skills and integrated them into his cells. He now controlled a total of 550 kinds of secret skills. Although he hadn't fully comprehended these secret skills yet, under the effect of the taboo power, their power was also very shocking. But in the battle against Xiao Dao, he didn't have much of an advantage. The 2 of them fought fiercely. Everyone watched quietly in the surroundings. They couldn't calm down. Hearing about it was one thing, but seeing it with their own eyes was another. Previously, when they heard that Lu Ming could defeat the Purple Sun State, no one believed it at first. Later, when the Purple Sun State admitted it personally, although they believed it, they weren't that shocked. At this moment, seeing Lu Ming fight to a draw with Xiao Dao, who was stronger than the Purple Sun State with his 6th level Divine Lord cultivation, that kind of shock was difficult to describe with words. Such combat strength is too unbelievable. Do the top monsters in the top 10 races have such combat strength? Someone expressed such an opinion in the dream space. However, no one answered. The top 10 races were all extraordinarily talented. Those top monsters, their combat strength was even ridiculously strong. But were they so strong? A 6th-level divine lord fought to a draw with Xiao Dao, who was also a monstrous genius. Could it be done? Everyone expressed their doubts. Perhaps, another monster with the ability to suppress the top 10 races was born. 4 generations, in the competition of the younger generation, the monsters of the top 10 races undoubtedly suppressed all heroes. They suppressed the other races' geniuses with invincibility until they couldn't breathe. They were synonymous with invincibility. But there were exceptions to everything. There would always be times when those weaker races would give birth to undefeatable geniuses. Those geniuses were all outstanding geniuses. They came from weak races, but they were able to rise against the trend, trampling the top geniuses of the top 10 races beneath their feet, becoming undefeatable. There weren't many such people, but there wouldn't be a lack of them. They felt that Lu Ming had such an attitude. Amidst everyone's complicated thoughts, Lu Ming and Xiao Dao had already exchanged more than 100 moves. The two of them didn't have any superfluous tricks, both meeting force with force, directly clashing head-on. Every move was done with all their strength. This kind of fighting method consumed a lot of divine power. Especially for Xiao Dao, it was even more so. Saber Dao required one to press forward with indomitable will and go all out. Every saber was the strongest saber. Every saber was a saber to kill. There was no way out. But in this case, the speed of consuming divine power was even more astonishing. Moreover, Xiao Dao still needed to circulate divine power to resist the suppression of the gravity pearl. The consumption of divine power was even greater. After more than 100 moves, Xiao Dao was already covered in sweat, his breathing heavy. The power of his saber had already begun to weaken. Xiao Dao is in danger. Many people could see that Xiao Dao was about to lose. Once a saber practitioner went all out and couldn't kill, then what awaited was to be killed. A saber practitioner's momentum was the most terrifying, but it also weakened quickly. "You're the one who lost," Lu Ming roared, his fists constantly blasting out. Clang, clang. His unparalleled fists bombarded Xiao Dao's war saber, causing his war saber to vibrate incessantly. Xiao Dao retreated rapidly, blood seeping out of his hand. As soon as he retreated, Lu Ming's attacks were even more ferocious. After a few more moves, Xiao Dao finally couldn't block Lu Ming's attacks and was bombarded by Lu Ming's fist. Xiao Dao was sent flying, a bloody hole exploding in his body. Half of his body almost exploded. He was severely injured. Chapter 3787. Although the attack power of the broken knife was strong, its defense was not as good as that of the Violet Sun Prefecture. After being hit by Lu Ming's attack, it was immediately severely injured. "You've lost." Lu Ming did not continue to chase after him as he spoke coldly. "Damn it." Many people roared. As for Qi Ping, who was hiding in the dark, he was even more furious as he roared. He originally wanted to torture Lu Ming, but instead, he made Lu Ming famous. He was so depressed that he wanted to vomit blood. Fight, fight. There are so many geniuses in the world. Even if you defeat a few, there will be more behind you. There will definitely be stronger geniuses coming to find trouble with this brat. Qi Ping comforted himself. Xiao Dao's face was dejected. He did not continue fighting and turned into a ray of saber light as he left the place. "Is there anyone else who wants to fight?" Lu Ming's gaze swept across the surroundings like two sharp divine swords. Everyone who was swept by his gaze had a change in expression. Some did not dare to look Lu Ming in the eye. Amongst the dozens of people who came this time, Xiao Dao was one of the strongest. Although there were still a few who could compete with Xiao Dao, even Xiao Dao had been defeated. If they went up, they would probably be in danger as well. For a moment, no one accepted the challenge. They even wanted to rush forward and suppress Lu Ming together. However, it was just a thought. He really couldn't do it. What was their purpose in coming to Lu Ming? It was for the elf princess, Ling Yue. It was to suppress Lu Ming in front of Ling Yue and let Ling Yue know that Lu Ming was trash and not worthy of him. If they joined forces, then their reputation would be tarnished. From then on, they would not be able to raise their heads in front of Lu Ming. Instead, they would raise Lu Ming even more. They were sure that Ling Yue was also using the Dream Jade to watch. They were not wrong. Ling Yue was indeed using the Dream Jade to watch. On a remote planet, in an elegant courtyard, an astonishingly beautiful fairy woman was looking at something through the dreamy divine jade. This astonishingly beautiful woman was the elf princess, Ling Yue, one of the 20 pearless of the great desolate universe. The dream jade shone, projecting a picture into the air. The person in the image was Lu Ming. Beside Ling Yue, the wandering spirit who had gone to see Lu Ming before stood quietly. On the other side, there was an old elf woman. Not bad. I didn't expect Mu Yun to have such talent. Seeing that Lu Ming had defeated Broken Knife, the old elf woman exclaimed in admiration. He does have some talent, but he's too arrogant. I've already said before that it's Miss who wants to marry him, but he actually looked unwilling and made all sorts of excuses. He's arrogant and has his eyes on the top of his head. His future achievements will be limited. Yu Ling said unhappily. She still held a grudge against Lu Ming. Miss, although you have a marriage agreement with Mu Yun, that was many years ago. Moreover, Mu Yun didn't take the initiative to look for you. Why do you want to take the initiative to marry him? Then, Wandering Spirit looked at Ling Yue and asked curiously. Yu Ling, don't ask what you shouldn't ask. On the side, the old elf woman glared at Yu Ling. Yu Ling didn't know, but she did. Ling Yue's father, the current elf clan leader, intended to marry Ling Yue to a peerless monster from the top 10 races, the Angel clan, for a marriage alliance. However, Ling Yue was unwilling. Although that monster from the Angel clan had astonishing talent and an unquestionable background, she had inquired about him. That person was too fickle and had a bad reputation. Ling Yue would never marry such a person. However, it was hard for her to refuse her father. Therefore, she thought of the fiancé she had never met before. This time, she came to the Iron Sea Starfield group to see the fiancé she had never met before, Mu Yun. Originally, she wanted to use force to force Mu Yun to fake a marriage with her. This way, she wouldn't have to marry the genius of the Angel clan. When she arrived, she happened to encounter the Resource Alliance. Out of curiosity, she went to take a look. Unexpectedly, when he was at the Resource Alliance, he actually saw Lu Ming and was shocked by Lu Ming's battle prowess. After asking around, he found out that Lu Ming's name was Mu Yun and he came from the Fengdu sword sect. This was too much of a coincidence. Of course, this also made Ling Yue change her mind slightly. Lu Ming's talent also moved her a little. At the very least, it was better than that genius from the Angel clan. In addition, she had another purpose, which was why she had asked Wandering Spirit to go over and say that she wanted to marry Lu Ming. However, she didn't expect that Lu Ming would actually disagree. After that, the matter would become so big that it gradually got out of her control. Just watch. I hope that this Mu Yun will bring me an even bigger surprise. Ling Yue's eyes flickered a few times as she smiled sweetly like 100 flowers blooming. Even the Wandering Spirit and the old woman from the elf clan were stunned. Wandering Spirit was considered very beautiful. In the various races of the great desolate universe, they were all top-notch beauties. However, standing beside Ling Yue, they were overshadowed. Fengdu planet, Lu Ming's residence. For a moment, no one dared to accept the challenge. I know that you guys are here because of the elf princess, but I'll say it again. I have no intention of marrying the elf princess. I already have someone in my heart. If you guys want to pursue the elf princess, you guys can pursue her yourselves. If you don't have the ability to pursue her, then what do you mean by coming here to bother me? Lu Ming said loudly. Lu Ming's words were heard by many people through the Dream Jade. Lu Ming once again rejected Ling Yue in public. This made countless geniuses envious and jealous. The elf princess took the initiative to marry him, but he actually rejected her. Many people were so envious that they were about to go crazy. If it were them, they would wake up laughing in their dreams. Look, this brat is arrogant. I'm not wrong, am I? On a remote planet, Wandering Spirit was so angry that her face turned pale. She stared hatefully at Lu Ming on the screen. Interesting. The elf princess wasn't angry. She smiled lightly, but no one knew what she was thinking. This brat is so arrogant. What does he mean by this? Is he belittling us? In the universe, many geniuses roared. Lu Ming's words were blatantly belittling them. They couldn't pursue the elf princess, but Mu Yun rejected the elf princess. This was a blatant slap to their faces. This brat, I'll definitely suppress him. Arrogant just because he has a bit of strength. Just a 6th-level divine lord, what's there to be arrogant about? I can slap him to death with one hand. There was an uproar in the dream jade. Through the dreamy divine jade, Lu Ming could see everything clearly. However, Lu Ming was fearless. So be it, just nice to give him pressure and let him break through quickly. You guys, if you want to spar with me, it's fine too. My cultivation is at the 6th-level divine lord realm. As long as you guys are below the divine emperor realm, I'll accept it. Lu Ming continued to speak. His words directly blocked the mouths of those divine emperor realm geniuses. He made it clear that his cultivation was only at the 6th-level divine lord realm. He would accept anyone below the divine emperor realm. As for those above the divine emperor realm, you still have the nerve to come. Chapter 3788. To put it bluntly, Lu Ming was challenging all the divine lords in the universe. Quasi-emperors were actually considered within the divine lord realm. Since these people wanted to deal with him, Lu Ming was not afraid and directly issued a challenge. He could use the pressure of these people to stimulate his potential and allow him to break through faster. Moreover, taking the initiative to issue a challenge would allow him to take the initiative, making the geniuses above the divine lord realm embarrassed to make a move. Otherwise, if those above the divine lord realm were to make a move, he would not be a match at all. Lu Ming's words caused an uproar. What guts? Is he challenging all the divine lords? Does he think that just because he defeated Xiao Dao, he is invincible among the divine lords? He doesn't know that there is always someone better. Many of the top monsters have not made a move yet. That's right, some of the top monsters of the top 100 races have not made a move, not to mention the monsters of the top 10 races. The monsters of the top 10 races usually don't make a move. Even so, the other top monsters are more than enough to kill him. The dream space was in an uproar. Among the various races in the universe, there were young monsters who were deep in thought. Interesting, this Mu Yun, I'll go and meet him. On the home planet of the heavenly silkworm race, ranked 26th on the Great Desolate 10,000 races list, a white-haired, white-browed youth in a white robe chuckled. He looked at the portrait of Mu Yun in the dream space with great interest. Ling Yue is my woman, no one can take her away. This kid dares to blaspheme my woman, he deserves to be killed. Among the top 100 races, a terrifying genius's cold voice rang out, his killing intent as cold as a blade. Let's go and take a look. It's been a long time since I exercised. Before I break through to the divine lord realm, I can exercise and kill a top monster to pave the way for my invincible path. One by one, the top monsters of the powerful races walked out and headed towards the Iron Sea Star field. However, Lu Ming issued another sentence in the dream space. We will fight again in 3 years. After saying this, Lu Ming left his residence and disappeared in front of everyone's eyes. Yes, Lu Ming had no intention of fighting now. If he were to fight now, he had no confidence at all. Through the illusory divine jade, Lu Ming learned that the broken saber was only slightly famous among the quasi-emperors of the great desolate universe in the Purple Sun province, not the strongest. As for him, when he was fighting with Xiao Dao, he had almost used his full strength. At most, there was still the battle art that hadn't been activated yet. However, the probability of activating it was only 1 in 10. If he were to encounter a quasi-emperor realm genius who was stronger than Po Xiaodao and the others, he would definitely not be a match for them. Therefore, he planned to find a place to cultivate for a period of time and increase his foundation before fighting these people again. Therefore, it was set to be 3 years later. Nest. At the sight of Lu Ming's departure, the paragons could not help but curse. However, these people did not stop. Instead, they continued to head towards the Iron Sea Star region. This was because some people speculated that the elven princess Ling Yuwei was in the Iron Sea Star region. This was a rare opportunity. Normally, it wouldn't be that easy to meet the elven princess Ling Yuwei. For a time, the Iron Sea Star region became lively. One by one, the geniuses of the powerful races rushed over and appeared in this star sea. As for the 18 forces of the Iron Sea Star region, they all took action and used all their methods to befriend these geniuses. For a time, the geniuses of the Iron Sea Star region gathered. As for Lu Ming, he had already left the Iron Sea Star region. He arrived at a strange galaxy. This galaxy was known as the Gale Galaxy, because inside, the entire galaxy was surrounded by a strange wind. This wind was scorching hot and filled with destructive power, so it was called the Gale Galaxy. The gale of the Gale Galaxy was incomparably terrifying. It could destroy planets and tear apart the void. The entire Gale Galaxy was dead silent. There were no forces here. Occasionally, people would come to train and explore the unique treasures of the Gale Galaxy, the Gale Stone. Of course, Lu Ming didn't come for the Gale Stone. He came here to use the Gale to stimulate his potential and achieve a breakthrough. Since being beaten up could achieve a breakthrough, then cultivating with the terrifying Gale should also be able to stimulate one's potential. Were they all abused? Lu Ming thought helplessly. In the next moment, Lu Ming rushed in. The Gale swept through Lu Ming's body like countless sharp blades, cutting Lu Ming's body. At the same time, the temperature was shockingly high, wanting to burn Lu Ming. However, this Gale that could destroy divine weapons didn't leave a trace on Lu Ming's body. The power is far from enough. I have to go deeper, Lu Ming pondered. The Gale Galaxy had a core. In the core area, the power of the Gale would be even stronger. Lu Ming flew in the direction where the Gale was stronger. The stronger it was, the closer it was to the core. Slowly, the power of the Gale became stronger and stronger. Here, even if a 7th or 8th layer Divine Lord entered, it would be very dangerous and would be swept away and killed by the Gale. However, it still didn't cause any harm to Lu Ming. It didn't even break the surface of his skin. Lu Ming didn't even take the initiative to defend, just relying on the defense of his body. He could only continue moving forward. The area of a galaxy was very vast. Lu Ming increased his speed, and the distance of hundreds of millions of miles was crossed in the blink of an eye. There's actually a planet. Lu Ming was slightly stunned. In the starry sky, he saw a planet, but this planet was very small. It was hundreds of millions of times smaller than an ordinary planet. It can actually be preserved in the Gale. It's really rare. The material must be extraordinary. Let's go take a look. Lu Ming's heart stirred and flew toward the planet. Although it was called a planet, it was very small in size, similar to a meteorite. Endless gale swept across the planet, making clanging sounds. On the planet, there was naturally no grass, no living creatures, and no mission plants. Lu Ming landed on the planet and carefully sensed it. It's all made of metal ores. Lu Ming's eyes lit up. This planet was completely made of metal ores, and it was incomparably hard. It was no wonder it could be preserved in such a cruel environment. I'll eat. Cho flew out, opened its mouth, and began to chew on the planet. With a crunch, a large piece was bitten off. Cho's speed was very fast, and it soon bit open a huge passage that led to the planet's core. The closer it was to the core, the harder it was, and the more metal it contained. Lu Ming couldn't identify what metal it was, but he could feel that this metal was no small matter. At the very least, it could be used to refine a monarch-grade divine artifact. Cho ate faster and faster. Suddenly, there was a crack, and a dark passage appeared in front of him. There was actually a passage under this planet. Lu Ming was shocked. Who is it? A cold shout was heard. Then, with a flash, several figures appeared. Chapter 3789. Several figures suddenly appeared in the passage. There were 3 of them, 3 middle-aged men. Each of them was wearing metal armor and wielding a metal spear. Their eyes were cold as they looked at Lu Ming and Chocho. At this time, Chocho was gnawing on the metal ore. After a few bites, a large hole appeared. The three middle-aged men's expressions changed, and then they revealed a scorching light. What a powerful metal life form. It eats metal like tofu. This is definitely a high-level metal life form. The three middle-aged men's eyes were incomparably bright as they stared at Chocho. They wished they could take Chocho for themselves. After looking at Chocho for a while, their gazes landed on Lu Ming. 6th level Divine Lord. The three middle-aged men were startled. For a 6th level Divine Lord to be able to reach here, he should have a treasure that can defend against the gale. Kid, we've taken a liking to your metal life form. Leave it behind and scram. The middle-aged man in the middle berated Lu Ming. He had a scar on his face that made him look sinister and terrifying. You've taken a liking to Chocho? Lu Ming was speechless. However, he had already discovered that these three middle-aged men were all quasi-emperors. Lu Ming didn't place ordinary quasi-emperors in his eyes. If they were monstrous geniuses, it was impossible for them to still be quasi-emperors at this age. Chocho, let's go. Lu Ming called out to Chocho. It was naturally impossible for him to give Chocho to them. But Lu Ming didn't want to cause trouble. After all, he had come to the Gale Star River to cultivate. Furthermore, from the looks of it, they should be mining this metal here. Perhaps there were even stronger people. If a powerful divine lord appeared, it would be troublesome. So Lu Ming planned to leave. Eat, I want to eat. This place is delicious. Chocho was unwilling and continued to gnaw. As for the three middle-aged men, they revealed sinister expressions. The middle-aged man said, Kid, I told you to hand over the metal life form. Didn't you hear me? It seems you don't want to live anymore. Chocho, we'll find other metals for you to eat later. Let's go first. Lu Ming continued to ignore him and walked towards Chocho, intending to take him away. The killing intent of the three middle-aged men exploded. Brat, since you want to die, I'll fulfill your wish. The man on the left roared, his killing intent surging like a tide. His tall and sturdy body moved, and his armor clanged. The metal spear in his hand whistled through the air as it pierced towards Lu Ming. Its power was astonishing. However, no matter how powerful it was only at the quasi-emperor level. Clang! Lu Ming turned around and punched the long spear, causing the other party's long spear to vibrate. The middle-aged burly man's figure could not help but retreat continuously. What? The other two were shocked. Lu Ming had actually repelled the middle-aged man's attack with a single punch. For a 6th level Divine Lord to be able to push back a quasi-emperor, even though the middle-aged man did not use his full strength earlier, it was still no small matter. I was already merciful just now. If you continue to act recklessly, don't blame me for being merciless. Lu Ming said with a cold face. Brat, you're courting death. Big brother, second brother, attack together and kill this person. The man who was pushed back was enraged. Attack. The remaining two middle-aged men were very decisive and attacked at the same time. Their spears pierced through the air and shot towards Lu Ming, aiming for his heart and head respectively. The man who was pushed back also attacked, stabbing towards Lu Ming's throat. This time, the three middle-aged men used their full strength. You're courting death. Lu Ming's face turned completely cold, his eyes bursting with killing intent. He had already endured and yielded time and time again, but these people wanted a yard after taking an inch. Not only did they want to take Chocho away, they also wanted to kill him. Thus, he could only kill them. Buzz. A spear light appeared in Lu Ming's hand. This was a spear light condensed from a secret spear technique. It was incomparably sharp and comparable to a true divine spear. Swish, swish, swish. Lu Ming's spear trembled, and 3 spear lights burst out, stabbing towards the 3 middle-aged men. Puff, puff, puff. Blood splattered everywhere as the 3 spear lights accurately pierced the glabella of the 3 middle-aged men. The 3 middle-aged men's eyes widened in disbelief. The 3 quasi-emperors attacked together with great coordination and were about to kill Lu Ming. They did not expect Lu Ming to attack at such an astonishing speed and kill them in one fell swoop. What was going on? How was this possible? They fell limply to the ground, no longer breathing. Their souls had been destroyed by Lu Ming just now. You're courting death. Just then, a tyrannical roar came from the depths of the passage. Then, a huge aura rushed over in a frenzy. Divine Emperor. Lu Ming's expression changed. This aura was the aura of a divine emperor. Sure enough, the three middle-aged men were not the only ones mining here. There were even stronger people. Chocho, let's go. Lu Ming rolled up Chocho with his divine power and quickly retreated. He did not know how many experts there were. If there were only one or two ordinary first-layer divine emperors, he would not be afraid. However, if there were stronger experts, he would be in trouble. As Lu Ming retreated, the tyrannical aura in front of him rolled over at an extremely fast speed. However, Lu Ming was faster. After a few flashes, he left the passage and came to the surface of the planet. Boom! As soon as Lu Ming came to the surface of the planet, a terrible whistling sound came from behind him. A powerful force attacked Lu Ming. An expert, a divine emperor expert. Obviously, someone had appeared behind Lu Ming to kill him. The speed was so fast that Lu Ming did not even have time to activate the battle formula. Without thinking, he threw a punch behind him. Boom! There was a loud bang and a violent force swept in all directions. Lu Ming trembled violently and his body flew out horizontally. He only came to a stop after flying a few thousand meters away. At this moment, Lu Ming finally saw the appearance of the person who attacked him. It was a middle-aged man, tall and sturdy, wearing a golden armor. He had red hair and a tyrannical chi. He was a cultivator of the first-layer divine emperor layer. When the red-haired man saw that Lu Ming had survived his attack, he was astonished. A cultivator of the sixth-layer divine emperor layer had survived his attack. He had never seen someone like that before. Swish, swish, swish. A silhouette flickered and appeared in the passage Chocho had just left. It was an old man, also wearing a golden armor. He looked fierce and ferocious, like a pile of iron lumps. It was the same person who had chased after Lu Ming. He was also a cultivator of the first-layer divine emperor layer. Two cultivators of the first-layer divine emperor layer surrounded Lu Ming. Swish, swish, swish. Over 100 silhouettes appeared in different directions. All of them were wearing metal battle suits. There were middle-aged men and old men. The weakest among them was a 9th-layer divine emperor layer. Most of them were quasi-emperors. You're tuning in to the Celestial War YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.